Welcome to the deep dive. We're diving into something pretty fundamental today. Our desires. Are they really ours deep down? Or, are we being subtly programmed?
It's a huge question, isn't it? This
Mhm.
idea that maybe our deepest urges, the things that drive us, aren't just spontaneously generated from within.
Exactly, that they might be shaped by, well, everything around us culture, society, maybe even power itself.
It's like trying to untangle a knot. Where does the individual impulse end and the cultural overlay begin?
Yeah, it feels intensely personal, but what if it's an echo? To explore this, we're sort of taking two angles. One is quite analytical, looking at how society might mold us.
Almost like dissecting the layers of influence?
Right. And the other angle is more about challenging those ideas, asking, is it really like that? Pushing back against the assumptions, a bit like an intense debate, maybe.
Unnecessary tension, I think.
Hmm.
Because we're talking about the core drivers of our lives here, understanding where they come from, how they're shaped. That's crucial if we want any real self-knowledge.
Okay, so let's think about something concrete, like early animation. Mickey Mouse in the 1930s, for example. Super innocent.
On the surface, yes, wholesome. But think about the time. The Hays Code, lots of moral policing going on. Could a figure like that, this symbol of innocence, actually be doing something more? Like managing our impulses?
It's a fascinating thought. Could these seemingly harmless cultural products actually function as, well, tools of civilization? Society is grappling with these raw, powerful instincts.
Aggression, sexuality,
Yeah.
all the messy stuff.
Exactly, and it needs order. So it establishes boundaries, and then you get these figures embodying purity. Are they just reflecting an ideal, or are they actively helping to channel those darker impulses into something more acceptable?
That's the core of it, right? The idea from Freud, maybe, that civilization demands we suppress our instincts for the sake of community. Precisely. Civilization and its discontents. Society requires a trade-off. We gain security, order, but we perhaps lose some primal freedom. And Mickey, in this view, could be seen as a kind of mascot for that suppression. A cheerful face on a society maybe a little afraid of its own shadow.
Hang on, are these cultural things just reflecting what society already believes, or are they actively shaping it? Because it feels like we absorb this stuff from day one.
That's the critical question. Do they merely mirror or do they mold?
We learn what's okay, what's not okay to feel, what desires are normal, often without even realizing we're learning it.
Which brings us back to the origin point. Are desires innate, bubbling up from within? Or are they crafted, piece by the culture we swim in? Think about the id and the superego.
The classic Freudian battle, primal urges versus the internalized rules.
Exactly. The
Hmm.
id screaming, I want! And the superego, the voice of society in our head, saying, no, you mustn't. And the ego, poor thing, is stuck in the middle trying to mediate.
And often, it seems the ego sides with the superego, twisting or suppressing the id's urges to fit in.
Which is why these cultural elements can feel like programmers. They reinforce the superego's directives, subtly shaping what the ego deems acceptable.
So when we talk about normal sexuality, for instance, where does that definition even come from?
An excellent question.
Mhm.
Is normal a reflection of some biological baseline, or is it a construct? Something designed more for social manageability than for reflecting the true spectrum of human desire. Perhaps it's about making people predictable, controllable.
And aggression, too, right? We don't typically see, caveman-style brawls in the street.
Not usually, no.
But that energy, that instinct, it goes somewhere, like into sports, maybe,
Ah,
or business competition, even online arguments.
it has to go somewhere. Freud called it thanatos, the death drive, this
Yeah.
aggressive impulse.
Mhm.
Society finds channels for it, redirects it into sanctioned outlets. Sports are a classic example. Controlled aggression.
But then the question is, who sets up those channels? Who decides what's an acceptable way to let off steam?
Precisely. And the same applies to sexuality. From birth, the pink and blue blankets, the toys, the expectations.
It's so ingrained.
Extremely. Subtle cues, constantly reinforcing gender roles, acceptable forms of attraction. By the time we're adults, these conditioned desires often feel entirely authentic, entirely ours.
But they've been filtered, haven't they, through years of cultural conditioning?
And the power lies in its invisibility.
Yeah.
We don't see it as programming. It just feels like the way things are. Like a fish doesn't notice the water.
So the cute cartoon character isn't just a cartoon. It's potentially a tiny piece of this larger system of moral guidance, of shaping desire.
It can be, yes. And if something so seemingly innocent can play that role, imagine the influence of more overt moral codes. educational systems, media narratives, power structures.
It really makes you stop and think, what parts of my deepest wants are actually mine, and what parts have been suggested?
Each of us becomes a sort of battleground, reflecting that larger societal tension between, let's say, instinctual freedom and the demands of control. Our inner conflicts mirror the external ones.
So civilization itself, it's built on sacrifice, isn't it? Giving up some raw part of ourselves to live together.
Freud certainly argued that. Eros, the life drive, wanting connection and creation, versus Thanatos, the death drive, aggression and destruction. Civilization's task is to manage that volatile mix.
And the superego is the main tool for that inner voice.
He's the internalized agent of civilization, yes. It's installed, as you say, through all those messages: parents, teachers, culture, religion, media, all stemming from society's need for order.
And guilt. That's the feeling we get when we stray. When the id pushes too hard against the superego.
Guilt is the internal enforcer. It's the friction between our desires and those internalized rules. A powerful mechanism for keeping us in line.
But the energy doesn't just vanish if it's suppressed, right? Does it get channeled, like sublimation?
Exactly. Sublimation is the Freudian concept for transforming those raw, often unacceptable instincts into something socially valued or harmless.
So aggression might become ambition in business, or dedication to surgery maybe. Sexual energy channeled into art or creativity.
Precisely. It's a way of redirecting the psychic energy. The question, though, is whether this transformation is genuine progress, finding higher expression, or is it a kind of distortion? A compromise that leaves us fundamentally unsatisfied.
You can see examples everywhere, can't you? Like competitive sports, we mentioned sanctioned aggression. Religion often acts as a huge regulator of instinct, too.
Absolutely. Setting strict rules around sex, food, behavior. Though religion itself can be paradoxical, right? Suppressing some desires while amplifying others, like the desire for spiritual purity or divine connection, sometimes to an extreme degree.
And the way society generally handles sexuality, it often seems focused on reproduction within stable family units.
Historically, yes. That ensures social continuity. But the cost is significant for those whose desires don't fit that mold. And even for those who do conform, are they truly free, or are they living out a script?
You just have to look back at periods like, say, Victorian England. So much surface propriety, but underneath. Secrets, resistance, intense passions.
A classic example of repression breeding countercurrents. The tighter the lid, the greater the pressure. And this dynamic plays out differently in every era with its own specific control mechanisms.
Which makes you wonder about our own time. We talk a lot about freedom, individuality, but how much of it is real? How much are our desires subtly steered towards things that benefit the system, like being a productive worker?
Or consuming goods.
Yeah.
Or engaging with social media algorithms designed to capture our attention and shape our preferences. Is our freedom simply the freedom to choose from a pre-approved menu of desires?
Even love and romance, the ideals we hold, are they purely natural or heavily influenced by centuries of stories, poems, movies?
It's hard to separate the natural from the culturally constructed when it comes to something so deeply intertwined with social narratives.
So what happens if you try to push back, to resist the programming?
It's incredibly difficult. You risk internal conflict, guilt, anxiety, and external consequences too. Social disapproval, isolation. The superego doesn't give up its control easily.
Is there a way out then? Or at least a way to navigate it more consciously?
I think awareness is the absolute starting point. Just recognizing these forces, questioning where your desires come from. That creates a space for choice. It doesn't mean throwing out all rules or living in chaos.
But finding a better balance between individual needs and collective order.
Perhaps. A more authentic balance, maybe. But it leads back to that fundamental Freudian idea. Is civilization itself the ultimate repressive force? We gain community, but lose some essential part of ourselves.
And this modern focus on happiness, is it just chasing our tails? Pursuing desires planted in us by the very system that ensures they're never quite fulfilled, so we keep striving, keep consuming?
That's one interpretation, but there's a counter-argument too. Could this programming also be seen as constructive, giving shape and direction to raw, potentially overwhelming instincts? Maybe repression isn't purely negative, but a necessary, if sometimes painful, part of being human in society.
But now, in the digital age, it feels supercharged. Algorithms learning our desires, then feeding them back to us amplified. Social media creating new norms, new pressures.
It's like the superego has gone global and digital, hasn't it? The lines blur even further between personal desire and collective influence. A constant feedback loop.
It's ironic, isn't it? We celebrate individuality more than ever, yet we might be living in an era of unprecedented conformity, just subtly guided.
The mechanisms of control are perhaps more sophisticated, more pervasive than ever before.
So does becoming aware just make it worse? Knowing you're in the system doesn't necessarily mean you can get out. It might just be unsettling.
Awareness is unsettling, yes, but perhaps it's the only chance we have for any degree of autonomy. Even if escape is impossible, understanding the dynamics is surely better than being completely oblivious.
It brings us back to the start, though. Who is programming whom? Is it society acting on us, or are we collectively creating the society that then shapes us? It's so circular.
It's profoundly complex and cyclical. Individuals internalize societal norms, act based on them, and thus reinforce the very norms that shape the next generation.
Okay, here's a final twist then. What if? What if even this conversation, this questioning of the system, is itself part of the system, a way for it to seem like there's dissent while actually reinforcing its power? What if doubt is just another tool?
That's a deeply unsettling but very important thought. Does the system allow, even encourage, critique as a safety valve, preventing real disruption? It suggests civilization thrives on this ambiguity, this tension between knowing and not knowing, freedom and control. Maybe resolving it completely would, paradoxically, diminish us.
So think about that. As you go about your day, are you really thinking for yourself? Are those desires, those doubts, truly originating from you? Or are they part of a script you didn't write? Confronting that possibility. It's uncomfortable, but maybe it's essential. It's part of the ongoing messy business of being human, trying to understand these hidden forces.
Or is it